Hey folks, Korg has brought us an early present this year with iDS-10 for iPhone, which is fucking awesome. I've always been into the synthesizer since back in the late 90s, but I didn't really learn how to synthesize until I got the DS-10 for the Nintendo DS, because prior to that I'd just been using presets, but you couldn't do that on the DS-10 because there wasn't a wealth of presets to rely upon. So you had to learn how to do all this stuff. So I did, and that's really what got me as excited as I am right now to be presenting this to you today, because this is really cool. This is the first iPhone app I'm ever doing a Let's Play video for, and it's probably going to be the last, because I doubt anything is going to get me as excited as this has. Let me go over some of the things that suck about this, though. It doesn't have audio bus, doesn't have inter-app audio. There's like no way to really get your songs out of this, but it's fun to play with. And oh my god, there's a lot in here. One other drawback, the drums are a little bit limited, which is both a blessing and a curse, because you don't get a lot of the complexity that was available in the original version. So you get just the basic, like, predefined sounds that you can sort of shape, but you don't get a full thing like you did in the original, which I can show you here if I bring on retro cam. And here you see the actual DS-10 running on my Nintendo DS, which you could edit. And it's got a full synthesis engine right there that you can tweak around with and do all kinds of great stuff with. But back to the modern day, we've got a much more limited set of things here, but it makes it super easy to fine-tune what you want. So I'm going to set up my drums real quick. I'm going to go for sort of a lo-fi synthy thing here, kind of embodying the chiptune aesthetic that was kind of common with the original release of the DS, because this was given to people who were playing video games, right? So they made basically chiptunes with it. So let me get a nice square in here and give that some boost. A little less bend, I think. And play with the decay. Alright, and moving on to the snare. Too snappy, even noisy. And the hats, I actually do like that they've simplified this, because it makes it easy to copy one to the next. Shape the color here, bring down the resonance a little bit. And copy that over here. Oh, whoops, I don't want to copy the decay, because the decay is giving it some length here. And let me throw in a basic pattern. All right, that'll work. I'm not even going to play around with the tom and percussion, because I want to get this moving and show you some of the cool features in here. So there's also unique in this version is this voice synthesizer, which will play whatever you type into it, as long as you do it phonetically. And it is just terrible at doing German. So you can't do any craft work with this. It's got a really impressive formant filter in here, though. If I can't do craft work with it, I'm not going to try to do anything like that. So let's just clear that out and give it a vowel. And now I'm going to use this vocal synth. Instead of making it say stupid stuff, I'm going to make it a big boomy pad. So let me start off giving this a bunch of chorus. Lower that resonance. And you can get some really weird shit if you play with the noise here. That's not making my pad sound any better, though. I'll be honest, I'm not sure how the control is working. I know it's affected by this wave here. That's a nice big full pad. Let's give this some notes now. That was sounding way better before. Why does that suck? Maybe I was at a lower octave. Ah, yeah, here we go. Alright, let's move on to other synths. So, the main synth engine is quite elaborate. As you see, I can scroll over here and get into a whole patch bay. And it's not as complex as the MS-20 patch bay, but you can still do quite a lot of things with this. For this one, though, I'm going to actually explore another unique function in this, and that's the ability to, if you hold down on one of these things, if you hold down on one of these knobs, if you hold down a knob, there we go, you get into a automation lane that you can then automate stuff. So for this, I'm going to actually be telling it to change the waveform of this. Actually, this is going to sound cooler if I give it some notes. Let me give it a bunch of notes. And change the gate to legato, so it holds down those notes. I got to tell it not to hold down the last note because I'm not actually, I want it to cut that so it doesn't try to make them whole bar a single note. So it's not deafen me. I'm gonna now hold and get into this where I can now tweak this and tell it to bounce back and forth like a wavetable would do. Doing this rapid I'm gonna not do it on that last quarter note because I kind of like it just going dry there. But now you can see it's flipping back and forth, which is kind of a common thing that you would do in chiptunes. So we've already got kind of a fun element to that. Alright, that sounds pretty good. I'm now gonna bring in the second oscillator, except this time it's going to be just a regular square. It's not going to be doing anything too weird. I like that. I could be playing around with the pulse width. Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun to play with. But for this, I am actually going to make use of the patch bay because you've got a simple patch thing to do that. So I'm going to throw in a this MG frequency is the LFO, so the modulation generator. So I'm going to take a saw and stick this into VCO1's pulse width modulation in. I'm going to sync it to the BPM. Let's just give it a little bit of extra movement there. And that... Whoa. The pattern's a little boring. Nice and ominous sounding there. I like that. All right. Let's move on to the other synth here, and you may have noticed that among the different things you can patch in are the pitch for the individual oscillators, which means you can do frequency modulation in this. And that is what I'm going to do here. This is going to be weird. Let's start off with... Oh, you know what? Let me clear this. I'll make use of the chaos pad, because that's going to give me a nice fun sort of thing. This is what we got going so far. It really needs a lot of mixing to not suck. Alright, that'll do for now. Go back into the Synth 2 and bring up the Chaos Pad. Alright, that'll work. So that's just our raw saw wave. And now I'm going to take VCO 2 and stick it into VCO 1. Now, you may have noticed when I was doing the... Oh, okay, let me stop that. You may have noticed when I was doing the... oh, shit. It just recorded me putting that patch cable in. Oh, no, it didn't. So why did it take the patch cable away? Who knows? Oh, well. You may have noticed before when I was adding a cable to the pulse width modulator, I pushed it forward. So in a lot of these... 12 o'clock is 0, and anything to the left is negative, and anything to the right is positive. But in the pitch in, 0 is down here, and this is max. So this is only a positive value that you can give it. So this is going to dramatically change the tone, because it's like a multiplier of how much the frequency is being changed by the pitch of the first, or by the second. Let me try that again. The second oscillator is sending a specific audio rate frequency, and this is telling it how much of that to let through. So by shaping that, we can calm the sound, because it's going to be crazy. So I'm just doing a little bit right now to start off with. And by changing the pitch here, we can actually shape the tone. Like, I'm not even playing with the VCF, but I can make it go from this kind of brittle to a bassier sound. And you notice we got the balance, so we're only hearing the first oscillator in this. Try changing the oscillator types. That's kind of fun. I'm going to stick with that and start to throw in some effects here. I'm going to bring down the sustain on this one. That's fun. Give it a little bit more of this delay. And you can easily shape up the cutoff frequency with the envelope generator here by either doing it like this or manually like this, but there's no point in doing that. You could send an LFO with that, but I think that's going to make a mess of things, so I'm not going to do that. I'm liking that. I'm going to modulate that. Oh, goddamn it. Oh, yeah, that's another thing. You can single tap on something to get this much easier to work with slider until you tap something else and fuck up. Let me get to the modulation. There we go. Let me give it something. I like that. Let me slow it down just a little bit. Let's hear that with everything else. Alright, those two are too close, so I'm not going to try to put them together. Or I could pan them. Hey! It really is that simple. You just kind of throwing stuff at it, playing with the chaos pad to figure out some melody, and just playing with ideas. Like, one thing that I'd like to point out that I didn't cover is that the formant filter here, this is your cutoff. Let me get rid of that pan on this. So, some of these have some really useful sliders, like the BPM also has a useful, you can get really granular instead of fucking around with the knob. But yeah, in the voice synth, this is your cutoff filter. So if you want it to be darker, bring it to the left. Want it to be brighter, bring it over there. If you want it to be nasally as fuck, push the resonance up. And if you see a big, bright, flashing light like that, that means you just did something that Korg thinks is exceptional, and you've unlocked a mystery. I don't know what that's about yet. I haven't unlocked all the mysteries. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this. I certainly have, man. This is awesome. Thank you very much to all my Patreon patrons for making these possible. Take it easy. Now I'm going to go crazy with it, and I'm just going to kind of jam using it as a performance synthesizer, where I'm basically just going to have it stuck on a few keys, and I'm tweaking shit. And I'll explain my thought process on why I'm tweaking what I'm tweaking to achieve what I want. So let me do that now. Give it a nice minor key. So it sounds ominous. All right, I'm actually liking the squelch to that bass. I think it adds a nice texture to the blips. So with that done, like we get the foundations of things, right? I can just copy this and paste. Let's do that a bunch. And now I've got the makings of a song here.